I can help you stay alive and free. Another wonderful show this evening. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we're going to plunge into that tonight. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And we have answers. We have answers, so it bears listening to what we have to say. And we're going to ask you to call in, at 800-877-955-1061. Let me get that out early. 877-955-1061. And let's get to the news so we can get to the show. Let me say hello to Lady E. Oh, lady, you got on gray like me. Look at that. I didn't know you was going to wear gray.
Oh my.
Hey there, street soldiers. This is Lady Estelle.
Yeah. You see we got gray on? Did you see that? You didn't see that?
Oh, where
are you going to let that go? All right, you going to let that go. All right. Okay, we matched. All right. What's up, Saul? What's up with you?
Unmute.
Man.
Oh, yeah, I'm right here. What's up, family? How y'all doing?
We're doing good. What about you?
Hey, Doc, I know you over there. I know you've been loving that NBA playoffs today.
Hey, man, look, Minnesota, I ain't got no words for Minnesota.
I know you've been watching, though.
I have no words. I have no words for Minnesota or Indiana. To go on the road and win, that is just incredible. That's incredible.
It's been entertaining. What's up, Mike? How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, everything's good. Just got a little, making some dinner over here, a little something simple. Doc, I heard you talk about May. Also want to mention that May is Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Awareness Month. Very important issue. It's a time dedicated to raising awareness of the alarming number of Indigenous women and people who've gone missing or murdered in the United States.
Wow. Okay.
Extremely important.
I don't want to know what the number is, but I know it ain't little. Okay. Wow. All right. Hey, man, you got your...
Some of the highest numbers actually in our state of the great state of California. So, what were we saying, Doc?
Can you come up and let everybody see the hoodie you got on?
The little Satchel Paige
out of Kansas City.
Satchel Paige.
We were on radio. Nobody can see that hoodie. But shout out to
there's about 3-4 people who can see it.
Taking pictures. Man, word pictures, man. That's how.
Hey, Mike, I want you to know I've been the old dude arguing with people online all week.
I wouldn't be able to picture that. I don't know.
You see me, Malcolm.
That's how books work.
Is that bad?
You do make word pictures though.
But I don't know who Brother Satchel Paige is.
Okay, well then we can tell you.
All right. My uncle played the Satchel Paige.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, I can see that his hoodie is baseball, but if no one has,
some people say he's the greatest pitcher in the history of baseball.
Amazing.
He's certainly the greatest pitcher in the history of the Negro League. And when he played against the white team, he blew them away, man. Yeah. Oh, man.
What happened to him?
He died.
Eventually. But what
happened to him? He made a diss track about Drake and blew up, and then he retired.
No.
He was the greatest in the Negro League.
Yeah. But let me say, you really want to know. Now you asked, and we can't spend too much time on that. He finally made it to the majors at the age of 42.
Oh, wow.
And he pitched at the age of 42 and competed in the World Series at the age of 42. And he was still striking folk. Oh, yeah, man. Ain't nobody better than Satchel Paige.
Yeah, give me a hoodie then.
Look it up. Look it up. That's the man.
Kansas City, straight out of Kansas City.
Kansas City Monarchs.
Represent.
That's right.
All right. Let's get some news in here. What we got here? Okay.
You know what we got, Doc.
Now, well, you do him. I ain't doing him. Do it.
What do we need to say? I mean, we can read it at least, right? But we see the video now.
I don't read this. You do it.
Well, I'm gonna paraphrase. A couple months ago,
it's old. I mean,
the brother named Diddy came out and said he had never done anything like what they were accusing him of. Well,
not true.
We know that was a lie. I don't know what else to say. No, you know what I will say? I did watch the video, much like, it took me back to watching the Ray Rice video. I'm sure you guys remember that one. And
definitely.
It's just hard for me to watch a man just physically assault a woman like that. It hurts. You think, man, that could be my sister. That could be my daughter. That could be my friend. And this man is just over here just beating her. It's just, it hurts to see. So, all I can think about, I'm thinking more about Cassie than I am about Diddy, whatever, she's the victim. But yeah, it hurt to see that. And It's terrible.
Brother, like I said, we could do a show on domestic violence every week. We could do and we could every week we could do a show. It is so common, so prevalent among all echelons, and this is just another example. So now it's between him.
Isn't he the one with the nickname Brother Love and all that stuff? I'm not trying to pile on the brother, but I mean, it's just, hey, man.
It's the rebrand.
I ain't paying attention to this brother, man. Hey, man, you get out of here, man. It's between you and the Lord. You and the Lord. Okay.
You know what's interesting is he can't. I guess he can't face charges because the statutes of limitations and all that stuff.
It was in 2016.
So that means, wow. Oh,
It's sick, man. Go to something good. Okay, go to a good brother. Happy birthday today. You know who? Go ahead. Your namesake.
Hey, you know what? Not only his birthday, he would have been 99 years old. The great El Haj Malik El Shabazz,
Man, that is a brother.
known as Malcolm X.
Man,
Happy
man.
birthday, Malcolm X. Today would have been. Is that correct? 99?
Yeah, let's see, he's 4 years older than King. I thought it was closer to, I didn't think it was 99.
Okay, then maybe I'm wrong about the number.
99. Yeah.
But
Well, if it's May 19th, 1925.
I guess
okay.
it is. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, close. Yeah, 99. Yes. All right. And they're dedicating,
yeah, he would have been 99 years old today.
aren't they dedicating something to him today in New York, right? Betty.
Oh, all over. Yeah, the thing I sent you. But you know, there's tributes and I heard that or Yassine Bey and known to you know, you might know him as Mos Def. I heard he was doing something on IG today talking about Malcolm X and his connection to hip hop. But Malcolm X, happy
Man,
birthday,
Malcolm
brother. We
X.
still love you. We always gonna love you, brother.
Black Shining Prince. That's what Ozzie Davis said. And the only name for you, brother. That's the name we agree. We have to
mean-
go. Your name was gonna be Malcolm.
I
You know,
think-
when we were at Cassie's the Langston's barbecue, I met a brother named, and they had named his son Patrice. And I said, "Oh, that's a nice name," you know. And he said it was either Malcolm, Patrice, or Martin. I was like, "Oh man, you were going good no matter what."
Lumumba,
Yeah, that's right.
fascinated by the CIA. In case y'all don't know that.
Well,
It's going down.
one
in
thing
there
with
today.
Malcolm is it's pretty cool because he got to where did he go? He went to Mecca
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
and they let him in. They let him into Mecca,
Oh.
even though he was he wasn't a traditional Muslim. He was a black Muslim.
Well, see, the greatest thing about
Powerful
Malcolm,
brother, man.
and we studied him right now at the club. We do every year. We do Malcolm, right? We do Martin in January, and then we come back with Malcolm. Is his growth? You know.
Yes.
his
I
growth,
call it reinvention almost.
his
I call it
integrity, man.
transformation.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was one of the brothers to say, "Man, I thought this way before. I don't think that way now." Very few people can say, you know, that's the way I used to think. And he grow and evolve, and he was still growing and evolving, and as was King. You know, so if there was another holiday, it's like the unofficial holiday for Black folks. Juneteenth they gave us, right? But Malcolm X, definitely. Okay, what else we got here? I'm not gonna do this.
Did you see? I know you like the positive news stories. Did you see the young lady, the 17-year-old girl from Chicago? Did you see that one?
Doctor.
Yep, she's a doctor.
She earned her doctoral degree at
PhD
17.
She graduated from college at 14.
Look,
Saying talking about not wasting any time.
What's the rush?
my question is, what is she supposed to do now? She's only 17.
Who gonna let a 17-year-old operate on?
Make up some more degrees, whatever. Look, but man, that girl, what kind of brain? God, are you gonna graduate from college at 14?
They have so many programs now, like dual programs that you could take and classes.
That is very true.
high
She's a
You're
little
right
girl.
about that.
I know there's another young lady before her. She had got like her doctorate a little bit older than her, but now she's like a school age teacher.
She
So,
had her
You know,
master's by the age of 14. At 14, I couldn't eat. Well, that's anything.
if those opportunities were available, maybe more of us would have had our BAs a lot sooner or
I
our
would.
masters a lot sooner. I would have loved to have.
Going
to
to
go
college
to a
at
dual
14, I was
program.
ready to barely be in the 8th grade, 9th grade.
Well, some of us are different.
That's true. She definitely
Some
different.
are
In
than
case
me.
you're interested, her name is Dorothy Tillman. Congratulations, Miss Tillman.
Congratulations. Oh, Oh Lord.
And you know that she just sound like she was in the civil rights movement, huh? Dorothy Tillman.
yes, she does.
I don't know. That name sound like it to me, but
Oh right.
wow.
You're
All
crazy.
right, so this
And yes, I would let her
Baby.
operate. Yes.
it's not substantial, but I just want you to know, since I know you do a lot of shopping, brother, grocery prices have fallen for the first time in a year.
Where?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Which store?
Grocery prices fell on the whole in April for the first time in 12 months. Okay. Prices
That's good news.
fell 0.2%. Now I'm sure that didn't help your pocket much, but hey, look, they chart everything. When they go up, they tell you. When they go down, they tell you.
I
you
go
know?
to the farmer's market.
According to
Oh.
it was the first time
Life is
food
good.
prices at home fell since April
I get coupons.
2023. So
I had to
pay
stop
attention
bringing.
to-
I
You
had
know,
to stop bringing my
yeah.
kids with me to the grocery store because they see too much stuff and they want too much stuff. And you know, you think you spending, you know how when you shop, you're calculating as you go and you think, oh, okay, that's about 55, 60. And then they ring it up and it's 130. And you were like, oh, hell no. So I had to
can
tell
do that
them,
with- not with you. You wouldn't like that. But when I took my oldest daughter to the store, man, she put anything in the basket. I mean, mama would write on the thing what you get. I come out there with $30 more. She said, "Get this." So I had to stop taking her and take my youngest daughter because
it's the grocery store will hurt your feelings. But
Mhm.
what you gonna do? You gotta eat.
What grocery store y'all go to?
Grocery
Sprouts.
outlet.
I wish I could go to Sprouts.
I live
Actually,
only shop
I'm in
in
San Francisco.
Safeway.
We love I love Safeway. I
yeah,
can't
well,
lie.
yeah, you know.
But I do a lot of things. I do
Safeway on
Safeway, I do
Mondays is
Food
great.
Co, Food for Less. I hit it up.
Food
Trader
man.
Joe's.
Shout out to Grocery Outlet Bargain
Wait,
Market.
no, I
You done
don't
helped
do
me
that.
get through the last 3 or 4 years. Thank you.
They change up their products too much for me.
All
Oh
right.
yeah, that's the thing. You might
We gotta move.
like
All right,
something, you
I
go
know,
back and
I
it's gone.
said that. I know you got excited over the 1% less that you paid, but you know, I understand. You know, that's the way it goes. All right. Okay, let's get into the show. You got something to say too?
Just real quick, if you don't mind, the
All
Ever
right.
Forward Club has their Ever Forward 5K challenge this Saturday, May 25th. It is their 20th annual anniversary. So if you'd like, go ahead and sign up at the Ever Forward Club. It will be held at the San Lorenzo High School with food, fun, and community spirit guaranteed. And it's a 5K. I did that about 2 weeks ago. So it can be done. You can do it. Come out and support the Ever Forward Club this Saturday.
Yeah.
And we just had him at the club.
That's
wonderful.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
All right, it's Mental Health Month. Let's get into this. It's Mental Health Month. It is Mental Health Month, and we have our resident, I'll say experts in the house.
Yes.
Oh,
Jamal Kazim and LaShara Johnson gonna guide us through this, and we're gonna talk about it because of that. But you know, because it is Mental Health Month, and also first hour we're gonna talk to you, the listeners, callers, and we'll give us a call. We'll talk about anything related to mental health. And then the second hour, you got some of the young people that we work with who want to talk to you with their viewpoints. They were like, "Can I come on the show? Can I come on the show?" Yeah, they're gonna come on the show. But let's start here. And I always start with, and you know, is I ask the young people what are the biggest issues they face, and right at the top, mental health, social media, mental health, and social media dominate what they're going through, what they're dealing with. And, you know, again, I did not working with young people for so long, you know, years, like a bunch of years, did not hear the term mental health until maybe 10 years ago, 10 years ago when they started saying mental health. And so we'll start with you because you're the one who, treats
All right.
folks with mental health issues. Let's just assuming nobody knows what it is. What is it? What are we talking about when they say mental health, in your opinion?
Mental health is a couple of things. First of all, hello everybody. Mental
What's up,
health
brother?
first things is that it's an individual's emotional, social, and psychological well-being.
Emotional, social, and
Social.
psychological well-being.
Right,
Let me write that down. Okay.
right. Here we
Okay.
go. It's
Okay.
a state of one's overall cognitive health, meaning the way you think,
Okay. Okay.
your emotional health,
Okay.
meaning the way you feel, and your behavioral health, the way you act.
Okay.
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 So how you think, how you feel, and what you do.
I got it.
Yeah.
I'm right there. No.
There we go.
Why did this term emerge seemingly out of nowhere? I mean, physical health has been around for a while. Emotional health is what you say is a component of mental health. It's been
Mhm.
around. Spiritual health has been
Mhm.
around for forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did mental health suddenly pop out?
In my opinion,
And yeah, of
in
course.
my opinion, there has now been a space for mental health to be able to be spoken about.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
It hasn't always been something that is safe to speak about. Right? We could talk about the Black American experience. Whenever did anyone care about what a Black person was going through in America? Right? So one could say, right? We talk about Satchel Paige. We talk about the civil rights things. Our ancestors have laid a path for us to be able to say, you know what? I don't like the way that makes me feel.
Are you saying that's all been codified in the term mental health? I mean, we talked about trauma before, you know,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
but wait a minute, Shara's waving her hand like the kid in
No, I
class.
just-
Okay.
Go ahead, sister.
I have these thoughts that come and I like raise my hand when I think of something
Absolutely.
good, like Yahtzee. I think mental health, trauma, those things they're coming more to the forefront because they're starting to affect out loud more people that we know and that we see. And we're able to say, oh, that's mental health versus just disregarding them. And I think that it's a light shine because it's always been here. And I think it depends on who's pushing it. Like the initiatives, like there are initiatives that are happening. So like President Kennedy, right? He had a sister who had mental health issues. And so when he was in his presidency, he opened and gave funding to many mental health institutions. But when his presidency was over, a lot of those things they closed.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like that affects it. So like, and then there was a thing where people didn't want folks who had mental health to be away from the community as like outcasts. So they wanted to bring people into the community, but there just wasn't a lot of funding to supply or to meet the need. So I think it just kind of happens in waves because mental health has always been a thing. All these great philosophers and theologians and all those things, Brother Freud and them, like those were big waves of time. But I think it also
But
just depends on
I
who
agree.
got the light. Who
I
got
agree.
the light to kind of shine it. But I think this is here to stay. I think
I'm
this
not
is-
saying, I
Yeah, I think
agree.
this is
I just never had a young person say, I'm having problem with my mental health.
Everybody's saying it now. You can name it. It's
Right.
one thing
No,
when you
I
got
said,
the
you understand, I'm
education to
saying,
name.
we're talking about what they're saying now.
And
Young
it's
people did
important-
not say that before.
No,
They
I don't
have-
think
And I'm
that
not saying that they
people.
shouldn't. I'm just
Mhm.
saying that's what they're saying now.
I don't think that people really had words for it because there are levels to it, right? So you can have a mental illness,
Mm.
and
Now,
that's
that's
not
what
the
I heard,
same.
mental illness.
Mhm.
But that's not the same as mental health, right? So if you think of it like this, right? Because one of the things that we also are thinking about is what is your mental hygiene, right? So every day you get up and you brush your teeth, right? That's just good hygiene. You brush your teeth because you want to stage off gingivitis, right? You want to be healthy so you don't get an illness. See what I'm saying? So you have
Yeah.
hygiene,
Sure.
right? That leads to health issues that leads to sickness.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying all mentally ill people are mentally unhygienic, if you will. What I'm saying is that when you hear a kid saying my mental health, they're asking for help,
Absolutely.
right? Something is going on with what I'm
Absolutely.
thinking,
Yes.
right? So if
Yes.
something is going on with the way that I'm thinking, and I'm saying, yo, my thoughts don't feel right to me. And we say, man, get over that. You know how long I had to stand in line to deal with this and I had to deal with that. That doesn't work like that. Oh, I'm sorry, my brother.
So does traditional mental illness come under the category of mental health? Anxiety, depression, is all that part of mental health?
Yes.
But that's, I get that part.
Yes, but mental illness. So you can have anxiety, right? You can be sad and not be depressed, right? You have to check all of these things. So first of all, you want to think about what you're thinking. What are you telling yourself, right? What are you telling yourself about your thoughts? Those thoughts, the things that you tell yourself, lead to feeling, right? So these thoughts I tell myself lead to how I feel about myself. And when I start feeling stuff a certain way about myself, I start doing things to make me feel better, right? And then the way that the things that I start doing to make me feel better lead to what I'm thinking and what I'm telling myself.
So let me get, if a young person comes to you, comes to
Yes.
Mike, comes to any of us and say, "Man, I'm having mental health issue. This is my mental health."
Yes.
What does that mean to you? And what do you begin to do about it?
I want to know what you're thinking about. What does that mean?
You wanna know what
You tell me.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, what you're
Okay.
thinking about, what you're
Okay.
telling yourself about yourself.
All
We
right.
would ask.
Can they be that specific about it?
Yes.
Some people can. We would ask like really what's going on.
What's
When
going
did you
on?
start to feel like this? Because
Okay.
sometimes it's a lot of outside or like environmental factors. Sometimes it's a lot of, it can be violence. It can be things happening at home. It can be, not being able to provide those basic needs. So
Okay.
food, shelter, having clothes, adequate clothing, things like that when it comes to youth. So there's a lot of environmental things that can be playing a role in this. And then mental illness, it really is the change in how you think, the change in how you feel, and then the change in how you behave. That really kind of will determine. It's a line. It's like you're going straight. And you got mental illness over here, and you having
We're not-
a
right,
rough
But
mental health. Because of the things
but
going.
mental illness is separate from mental health.
I
like
would say it's an
physical
umbrella.
illness
It's an
It's
umbrella.
separated from physical health.
If I can just interject,
Yes,
I think that back 10, 20 years ago, mental health wasn't an easy topic, easily, readily put forward. Because anything related to mental, if it wasn't brilliance, it was illness. And illness was not a topic that anybody wanted to address or discuss. It was a problem. And so the community, society, the world wasn't ready to deal with mental illness because that was as a thing that we need to be concerned about or really look at. We wanted to keep that to the side.
Right.
Okay. It was not, who wanted to be mentally ill? And then when we look back and look at those who were impacted by it, that the world looked at and saw, Robin Williams.
Right.
Robin Williams, famous, rich, wealthy comedian. And he committed suicide. And we begin to see in the public people who were severely impacted to the point of death.
Mm-hmm.
And it started to become so, what's the word? So many.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because people we
It was
see.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much until now, and depending on who it is, and I promise you, I watched when people of color who were dealing with mental health, mental illness,
Right.
whether it be drug related, and
Right.
it was pushed to the side, not addressed. We don't want to see it, deal with it. But when people of means, and it began to happen, then now we've got to do something about this. This is something that we need to address. And so it became more popularized.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's here. And you know me, I want to get straight to the treatment part, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. You're physically ill? Oh man, let me take your temperature. We go get tested. What's going on with you?
Yes.
Everything from your diet. I want to know, but I got a roadmap.
Yes.
Mhm.
I've had a traditional road and if you're spiritual, is going on with you,
Yes.
then let's go to church. And I
Yes.
say this all the time. I have a roadmap. Emotional sort of fits under the umbrella, but if emotionally, what's going on with you emotionally? What's the roadmap? Are we still developing a roadmap? Or are we still finding out all the issues that are related to mental health
Yes.
that affect a person? Now, let me give you an example. I mean, who was the wonderful actress who came out to talk about her? I can't think of her name.
Oh,
Taraji.
Yes.
Michael Phelps, same thing.
Yes.
He brought it out, but so like, oh, okay, man, what's going on? What's going on with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
the latest Miss America and the
Yes.
latest Miss Teen USA
Yes.
just dropped out of the whole thing because they said there are issues related to their mental health.
Yes.
I don't know if this is are, but they cite that, right?
Mhm.
So I'm assuming therapy could be in the process for these folks.
Yeah,
right?
I think the thing, well, the thing you want to also understand is just like you said with physical illness, mental illness has a diagnosis, and there are certain things that are being checked off. So what happens is we take those terms and we use them haphazardly in a negative way. Because I like all my pens to be black and face a certain way, I'm running around saying I have OCD.
Mhm.
Because I'm sad, I'm saying I'm depressed. Because I'm having some irrational thoughts, I'll say, or someone will label me as schizophrenic or something
Right.
like that. These
Right.
are real illnesses that people suffer with. And because we use them interchangeably,
That's why I'm trying. Yes.
then
And
we say,
mentally.
oh, that's what mental health is. Mental health, again, I had someone tell me like this, mental illness is brain cancer. Mental health is a migraine,
Mhm.
right? They may have some things in the same area, but it doesn't mean that they are exactly the same thing. And because we as a people don't talk to people, right? We don't talk to professionals. We don't have access to that kind of care. We then self-diagnose, take all of these tests online, and then that person says,
WebMD.
you're anxious. Oh, WebMD will kill you.
So has there been well, let me just like this. Somebody gave me this book yesterday. right?
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
And it's to me, and you said this,
Mhm.
I'm sure you this will resonate with you. When the kids say, when they say mental health
Mhm.
and social media right behind them,
Mm-hmm.
there's a relationship there. There's a
Absolutely.
relationship there. And it's just coming out how big a relationship there is.
Well,
Yeah.
get
Right.
off it.
Because childhood is not the same
No.
as it was when we were growing up, right?
Right.
And the biggest, according to this person, which I happen to agree with, because I've talked to even the young people will say, that the biggest increase in mental health issues is social media. No, the iPhone, which is right.
Mm.
Wasn't
Mhm.
with the flip phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's with the iPhone. And this person has gone into this. Why this? I'm gonna get you this. You're
Okay.
gonna love this, right? Because he's gone into research showing that these issues surface between. And I just got it. So I started reading in bed last night. I was like, I can't read this whole book. Between the years 2005 and 2015,
Mm-hmm.
everything like went up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everything went up. And this generation, particularly, and there's two teenagers, and he puts teens from 12 to 20,
Mhm.
right? He puts those years from 12 to 20, and preteens. But girls in particular,
Mm-hmm.
and boys to lesser degrees, but that's around video games and so on and so forth, right? And they have charted the numbers, and it's astronomical what's going on, right? It's going on. And he said the number one contributor to what we're seeing today among young people is that thing he got in his hand right there.
Smartphone.
Absolutely, right? And this thing was so clear to me because the young people have said, and it's not just here, it's in Canada. It's all over the world where people have access to a smartphone.
Mhm.
And so this thing is not getting better, it's getting worse
Mm-hmm.
because it affects how we're raising children. And he basically said, listen here, Malcolm, he said that it's called overprotection. Remember, we used to use a television for
Mhm.
give kids. Well, television don't talk back to you. It's a one-way thing, right? You can't get into the TV and connect with somebody, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to protect our young people from going. Guys, it's crazy out there, so we're gonna keep them in so they didn't get to go play, right? But they could play with the
Mhm.
phone.
Mhm.
So they went into this. I call it the Matrix. They've gone into this thing,
In the vortex.
and he says literally it's rewiring their brain.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think anything you look at for a substantial amount of time and you take it in and you don't have any type of like barrier or regulation on like what your moral code is and what you believe, it's gonna, whatever you whatever
it's
you
taking-
spend time with, whatever you water is going.
But it's taking people out of the equation. Because when you're young and you playing outside, you got to navigate. You know, you meet somebody from the other side, you got to figure out how to maneuver in the world.
But a lot of times you learn those things from TV. You would learn those things from
Yeah.
just interactions. Now
Well-
we'll say the
Well,
smartphone.
but I'm
does
saying
that
it's a
too.
one way, but it's not something that it's
Well,
look,
what
he
I will
says it
push-
better than me.
What I will push back on is that for every generation,
There's just
it's
something.
it's always been something. And
Like
and
this.
that's just because that's where we are now.
Right, right.
It
No,
used
not
to be
like this.
rock and roll music.
No.
It used
It's
to be
always
blues
something.
music.
I heard
When I
what
was
they
coming
said.
up, it was video
But this is
games
different.
and Terminator. No, it is. I'm not saying it's not.
Right.
What
It was rock music.
I'm pointing to is the fact that something that you said is that when we have the more technology advances, the less we have intimate times with families and communities. Right? Our
Mhm.
community is now open to the world on the smartphone. We can talk about social media, we can talk about all of these things, but we had communities. There were certain things you had to do when you were raised. I couldn't play the video. I couldn't play my Nintendo
At the
20 hours,
table.
10 hours a day. I couldn't do. My father wouldn't allow me to do that. I had a certain amount of time. But if mom is on social media, if dad is on social media, if the family is on social media, we're not spending time
You're right.
together. So now I don't
Right.
have anyone to check off my mental health with.
Right.
And so I'm looking at this phone to figure out what the answer.
Yes, but this is substantially different than anything that's ever come before.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. We've
That's
never
his
had
point.
computers before.
Never. What does it say? It is causing an epidemic of mental illness because young people dealt with people. You're not dealing with people anymore. So it's not it's not even a babysitter. It's something that they just don't deal with human beings. And
I-
so this is his point, right?
But okay, so then whose fault is that?
Well, I'm not even.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But again, right?
And these are children, by the way.
We
But
are
we didn't know what it was. You can only if you got to know what it's doing first. You got to know. You can suspect what it's doing. That's why data and
it's not,
research is so
but that's
important.
not the American way.
Well, I know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to say.
But
people
that's what
now.
I'm saying.
This is not.
The answer is not the absence of iPhones. The answer is the presence of family and community and
Right.
connections.
Well, he gives an answer.
I like my answer better.
Get
Well,
off
okay,
it.
we ain't heard his
I
answer.
just say, log
His
out.
first- yeah, well, his first
Log
answer.
out. Put it
No, his answer is don't give a young person before a smartphone before the age of 14.
You really, what do they need it for?
That's an
this is
answer.
Crazy
No,
because
no.
I've worked with kids
He
and the
makes
parents will say,
recommendations.
my kid needs a phone. I worked at Sprint. Okay, I sold a phone to a parent who wanted to buy a phone for a 5-year-old, and I felt really bad because I was like, this is a recipe for a disaster.
Say that again.
It's a recipe for a disaster.
And you know it's a
if you're
recipe
not
for a
gonna- If
disaster.
you're not going to monitor. But parents, they'll say, because parents have this inflated belief of security and stuff, and they'll say, oh, I need it if it's an emergency. And I've had kids programs where I've had to call kid for an emergency, a parent, I mean. The parents don't pick up. They don't even call you back. It's almost like they didn't drop them and then left them. But it's for an emergency. And if it's an emergency for your 9-year-old, you would know about it. You would know about it. Now
People-
the latchkey kids, I kind of give them a little bit of a
I'm
pass.
telling you,
But
people ain't gonna follow these recommendations
I think people are starting to follow them.
because it's gonna be a fight.
I think people need to be more louder
If they
about
say
it.
don't give a smartphone before the age of 14 or 15, then don't do it. But people ain't gonna do that. I know it. Even with the data, they're not gonna do it because it's a fight with kids' food. It's a fight with kids. Even if you know it, you're going to do it.
I think parents are being more mindful about screen time. As more parents are more vocal and, these parents who are influencers and they start to share their lives and things like that, like people are being more aware of screen time, youth suicide and things like that. Like I have a few friends who have experienced those things and they're way more vigilant because I think a lot of times, like when MySpace and all those things jumped off, I don't even think my parents then were too aware or concerned about what that meant. and those had age quote unquote limits.
Let
But
me just say, it's two things going on.
they never told me to get off it though.
It's not just letting them not have it, it's letting them play with other young people
What do
to
you mean?
develop. Kids don't go outside, they don't play.
Oh, they do in my neighborhood.
All right, okay. In general, it's been a total decrease. Get sent around. They don't play with other kids, right? That's where you learned how to do this. It's both together, right? So even if you don't give them the phone, you're gonna let them play with other kids. You're gonna so it's both together, and that's what. And it makes absolute sense to me. Absolute sense to me.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good first step or idea or hypothesis, if you will. I don't think that it's based really in reality, right? Because what has to happen is then we have to also substitute parenting skills, because I can't just say go play. I have to be able to listen. You at school for 6 hours, you come home, you got 2 hours worth of
Sometimes
homework.
eight.
You go outside and play for an hour, you got the rest of the night. If the whole family is on their phones,
But they can't. The phone is out.
okay, so now
Right.
if the whole family is not on their phones, now everybody is sitting there after dinner and after,
Are they even eating dinner?
are they even eating dinner?
My
Are they
point,
washing dishes?
if you
What's happening there?
understand it's good for young people to play with other people, then you create that. If you believe that it's true.
But we're talking a society of people. We're
course.
talking a society of people who communicate through the algorithms are tailored towards you.
know that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
It's not what we up against. It's about what you're gonna do with what you up against. Of
You
course.
it is
You are
absolutely
absolutely right. This
Right.
thing is designed to look. It's fundamentally altering the way young people have been raised across
right.
ethnicity, across everything.
Right.
Okay.
So when
All right. Then the thing is, what you gonna do when you
Yes.
know the monsters out there?
so you have to teach the child how to deal with the monster.
First, you gotta teach yourself.
Exact, and that's my
That's what
point.
he was saying about the.
It has
the
to,
young-
everybody has to be able to address the fact. First of all, we have to even acknowledge that there's a monster, right? If I'm not even acknowledging, so first of all, you have to be aware there's a monster.
Bam, bam.
Something is off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Something is off. I'm not feeling right. Now you have to acknowledge it once you feel it. Like, oh, okay, I'm feeling down.
Yes.
And then you have to apply some coping skills to it.
Yes.
How do you cope
Yes.
with what you're dealing with? And the coping is what we don't have the tools for.
It's like
So then it's like, I don't know how to deal with this thing that I feel.
right.
This is my mental health.
That's why
Right.
we on the air. See, it's like
That's-
being an alcoholic. You got to deal.
Yeah.
First, you got to admit you're an alcoholic,
You got to
and
first.
then you got to go like deal with the result of being an alcoholic or a
Mhm.
drug addict,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
The drug addiction ain't going nowhere, right?
Mhm.
The alcoholism ain't going nowhere. The phone ain't going nowhere.
Mhm.
Society ain't going nowhere. It's what you can beat this thing if you decide what's important. That's all that's all I've been doing for all these years, is helping people figure out what they want,
And-
and
and
how to get there.
It's
And to-
interesting culturally
Yeah.
as well, because I know a lot of times because we, have been born here and we have an American sense and we're Americanized and it seems so like black and white for us. But for people who are not and they are immigrants here, it's very hard for them to navigate.
Of course, it's hard.
For them to be able
Yes.
to navigate
Yes.
their first generation children who are going to these schools and who are
hard.
spending time with
We
these-
know it's hard.
with their other children. But it's a different type of hard. I just want to acknowledge it,
agree.
And
It's
that's a-
hard.
it's a different type
And
of
every-
because they don't
So you
know.
know what I tell young people?
yes.
What I tell them? Life is hard.
Yes.
That's what I tell them. Right from the beginning, life is hard. You were
Yes.
born through what? Through what? Labor,
I don't know what I was
right?
gonna say. You want me to
Labor,
really say?
right.
No.
Yeah. Labor, right? You're born through labor. The issue isn't that it's hard, but there are things you can do to make it easier.
But I'm saying culturally.
So-
That's,
well,
that's all. I just
you're right.
I just wanted to raise the fact that
Agreed.
that parents who are of a different background, of a different language, of a different cultural stance on how they parent in the US or anywhere else that's not their native land or space.
And this thing
It is
doesn't care about culture.
very
It doesn't care
difficult.
about any of that. All it cares about is getting
Well, and let me
Your dollars.
let me say what this thing is doing. What this thing is doing is providing you dopamine, right? It's providing you a good time. It's not on here being like hate yourself, be mad at yourself, this, that, and the other. But when I'm having bad thoughts and I go to this to entertain myself, or to get news. Every news story you read on here today, I learned from Instagram earlier today, right? So everything that is being told to me is everything is wonderful. Everything is fine. Everybody's happy. Everybody's having a good time. And I get in here and I'm like, yo, my life sucks. Everybody I look at, the kids are being told at 24, they should already have millions of dollars. Kids are being told at 24 what kind of man or woman they should be and what kind of man or woman they should receive. Kids are being told what they should believe or what they shouldn't believe about religion and everything like this. They are being told constantly what they are supposed to be. Of course, they're going to be anxious because they don't have the ability to make a decision on their own. And that's their developmental, their psychological developmental stage is, do I want to be like myself or do I want to be like everybody else? That is their developmental psychological stage that they're going through currently while they're looking at the world.
We had a
At the
caller
same
who had
time.
mentioned that. It was a gentleman, and he was mentioning how he kind of battles with what he sees online versus like in his dating life and like where he aligns with who he should be with or what he should have. But for me, it's like, okay, we can talk about the phones and all that all day because it's something we all deal with, but your environment and who you have, your support, what's going on in your day-to-day household. So like Jamal said, like they have dinner. And I'm like, well, what if they don't have dinner? What if they don't have all these things? So the phone is kind of, their only place of doing something that's enjoyable or that feels good. But if you have all these other outside factors that are not in alignment, how can your mental health be good?
The iPhone eliminates outside factor. It doesn't allow outside. This didn't happen with the flip phone. That's how fine this thing is. When you had the flip phone, this didn't happen.
Well, yeah,
This
it's
is
a
only
smartphone.
right. It's only happened since a smartphone, right? So outside factors. What's the outside factor? You're right. Yeah, but what I'm trying to do, I hope we're trying to give an understanding of the whole overall picture. What I'm really doing, and what this person, I'm sounding the alarm.
Yeah.
I'm sounding the alarm, right? And when you sound the alarm, I want to sound, and sure, people got to learn, people got to learn, people got to learn. The alarm has been sounded. This thing is only going to get more and more sophisticated. It is robbing there is a huge rise in decline in mental health and a mental illness specifically related to the phone.
It could be devices. I mean, there's a pastor that I follow, and he has a smartphone, of course, but in his marriage, he was going through some things, or in his life, I'm sorry, not his marriage, and he was spending more time on his PlayStation than normally he would with his family. And it wasn't until his son brought it to his attention that he realized that actually there was some other things going on that made him decide to spend more time on his PlayStation than being present.
I want to be
with his family.
controversial.
I think
No
you're good.
phone
Is it-
before 15. I want somebody to call me and tell me, Doc, I can't do that. Here's another suggestion. No phones in school. That's what he's saying.
They try that. There's
Well,
some
I'm
schools in
just
San
saying that I
Francisco who
want to
do
be
it.
controversial. I want to be when people say, man, we can't do that. Okay, fine. Then you're gonna have, you not gonna school isn't gonna be the same. You're not gonna have people focusing. We don't let our young people have phones and these are 17, 18, kids. And it's like they are like going through addiction
Mhm.
withdrawals. Okay.
do.
I'm saying so, but how are we if that is a challenge, are we willing to take up that challenge?
But what makes it easier for you to say no phones in this program? Parent partnership?
No,
Because do you think that if you have parents who are like, you're going to take that phone, you better have it? Or I don't care what Dr.
no. Well,
Martin says.
what makes it easier? They trust us, and we know what we're doing. That's
Who
what
is
they
they?
trust
Who
us.
is they?
The parents of the kids.
You have parent support.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these
from
places,
the
they don't
beginning.
have that.
Well, then I have to tell them you can't come in my class.
Oh,
I'm taking
no.
the phone.
Well,
Oh
that's-
no, the phone is
Listen,
not going to help
but
me.
listen.
get-
But
You
it's the
understand? Hold it.
outside empowerment. Like when
Well,
I was in high
look,
school, I had friends who would say, "My
We are
mom said
talking
I couldn't."
about
I did not get the outside empowerment, right? Sometimes, and I'm saying, but this is my class. This is what I know. This is best for the young people. And if you want them to learn, and if you trust me what they're learning, I've been doing that my whole life. Now,
the
I'm
reason.
not taking one call because I'm just going.
And let me just say
got
this
two
one
calls?
thing. I know we got to go.
We don't only have 2 minutes. We can't take no call. Okay.
Okay,
We do
let
the
me-
kids. All right. Okay. I didn't tell.
I'm gonna say this: the reason that you can take the phone is because you're replacing their dopamine fix with engagement. You are an
Mhm.
engaged adult that cares about what they think, say, and feel. You care about their mental health, so you want their full, undivided attention. We can take all the phones from everybody, right? We can reverse. Hold on, we were talking about the government earlier, right? They can't be that bad. Obama was giving them out, right?
There's a story in here of a parent who took the iPhone. I don't know if they changed their parenting style at all, and they gave him back the flip phone, and the young person was completely different. No, I'm just telling you, because he wasn't on the phone, right? There's people who go, we send kids to Ghana, they can't have no phones in Ghana. They love it. They come back here, they got a phone. Look, those other things, yes, absolutely. But I'm saying, to me, look, you got to remove or control the one thing that is causing the problem.
I believe that
The
happens.
problem, hold on, we're gonna be controversial. The problem is not the phone, the problem is the engagement.
Okay.
If you are going to engage, then you can do it.
Okay, fine. All right, here we go. We got our young people coming. We're gonna have a conversation with them about Lord.
Yeah.
All right. Imagine First Star. I'm hyped. This book is wonderful. Let me tell you about the book. It's called The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. Somebody has to sound the alarm. All right, we'll be back. Take a break, come back. Got some young people who have continue the conversation about mental health.
Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul? Trying to find my soul. Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier. Street soldier. Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask. I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say. This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul? Trying to find my soul. Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier. Street soldier. Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask. I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say. This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
All right, hour number no, well, I'm sleeping. Hour number 2, Alive and Free Street Soldiers. Whew, we are talking about mental health, trying to get some answers. All Doctor wants is answers. That's all Dr. Marshall wants. I want to find some answers. I'm the answer man. My young people deserve answers, and that's what I try. That's why I do so much searching and looking and try to bring in people to help me, and so on and so forth. So we spent this first hour. I don't know if our 3 guests who are here from Alive and Free Omega Boys Club have heard any of the first hour as we talk about mental health. So I'm going to introduce each one of you, and you can raise your hand. One more was supposed to be here. Walida Elahi, raise your hand. Ariana Zavala, right? Raise your hand. And Elder Tesfaye, what's up? Elder? And the you are the real expert. No, we've had the professionals here talking about it. I don't know if you heard any of it, and I told them one of the things in our conversations with you, we talk about mental illness, we talk about it, the things that are bothering young people today are the biggest issues, and at the top is always mental health and social media, right? We talked about that. And so let me just start with each of you. When you say mental health, what covers the gamut for you when mental health comes up? This is going to be what they call it, just a brainstorm, or how you do it. So Walida, you start. Mental health, what comes up? Why do folks say it's an issue? What are your opening words about it?
I feel like my opening words about it are, it can start from anything. It can start from a person being bullied. It can start from a person just having a negative view of themselves. It can start with them comparing themselves to other people and thinking, I don't look like those people. I'm not pretty like them. I'm not skinny like them. Or I don't have the life they have. And that can make them feel bad about themselves. And that can bring them to feeling depressed or sad. And most of the time, if they do try to reach out, that person's like, oh, you're not depressed. You're okay. You're not depressed. I had much more happening to me when I grew up than you had. So it's no way you're depressed. I would have been depressed and I wasn't, And so like when they reach out to adults that don't help them out, they just end up having to hide it. Because if your number one support system isn't helping you, where are you going to go?
Thank you. Wonderful. Ariana, your opening thoughts.
Similar to Walida, I think self-image is one of like the biggest things that causes mental illness in teens. Like speaking from my age group, self-image is one of the most damaging things that we have going on.
All right, short statement, but impactful. Elda.
Hi. I think that mental health just in general, like my general definition, I feel like it encompasses like emotional health. Like, I feel like mental health and mental illness are very different, and I feel like there should be like a solid line like drawn between them. I feel like it's like encompassing just like how you are mentally and emotionally and like spiritually, if you believe in that. And I feel like that why it's so prominent in like our lives is like social media. Like social media was kind of created like during our time, which is why you can see like I think maybe like the suicide rates from like 2000s to like now, I think it went up around like 35%. I think that it's like back in like other generations, like especially in like the Black community, it's like they were worried about other things. Like they were worried about like their civil rights. They were worried about like their physical and safe like physical needs. So they weren't worried about like emotional health. But now that we have like in a way like the privilege or like we have time to deal with our emotional health, like that's why it's like brought to the forefront of all our conversations.
Wonderful. Well stated. Great. So we did a brainstorm, and I want you to hear what they had to say, and you've heard some of this already. Same thing. I said, what comes up for you? And our group, by the way, these young people are 16 through 20, right? Okay, just to let you know. Yeah. Families dismiss depression, ignore it. They don't take mental health seriously, skip over it, don't care. We need strategies for managing stress coping mechanisms. We don't have outlets to get help and resources. Again, refuse to acknowledge mental health. Mental health is linked to self-esteem. Don't make people feel bad. Mental health is a leading cause for young Black men feeling like they're not good enough. And there's been a rise in suicide when it comes to young Black men. People show it on their faces. Look into their eyes. You can tell loss of interest, emptiness. It should be normal to deal with mental health issues, problems, suicide, self-doubt, depression. I like this one. People listen to others' problems versus sharing their own. We need to acknowledge how childhood trauma affects us. And you heard this one. Parents bring up their own issues growing up, and they don't hear what's going on with me. And this is another one that I've heard a lot. I feel like I have to fight my own battles, and they are, told to just deal with it, right? And then this one was a very interesting one, but I can see how this would help because I've seen this with other things. Mental health for some people is a trend. It's a trend if it is used to seek attention, which makes it seem like it's not real. That was a deep statement because obviously they run into somebody who was hollering that, and like it was a joke or whatever. So then we talked about, the toolbox, but do any of those statements what do you just think about those statements that you heard from our class at Alive and Free?
One, I just want to acknowledge everyone that is here and thank you for coming on and sharing and expressing, from your perspective and the things you're seeing amongst your peers. Because I think they're all valid statements. I think the most powerful one that you read was probably the last one, which was, it's such a trending thing, so it's like anyone can kind of throw it out there. And it may be a thing or it might not be a thing. Or as I was talking to Jamal earlier, it's like, okay, is it your mental health for real? Or are you just having a bad week because something isn't going, the way that you envisioned it? Or you're a little stressed, you haven't been managing your time, wisely. So you're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're of course gonna be tired. So, so people will say like, oh, for my mental health. And it kind of reminds me of because it's one of those blind things. It's not like having a physical disability, like you're, labeled retarded or something like that, right? Those were kind of the big things. Like we get help for those people because you can see those things. But with your mental health, you can't really see it. So most people go to the hospital for their broken arm, but they're not going to do too much for what's going on up with them mentally. And that's very important. But now we're starting to, shed a light on it and bring more awareness to it. But it just reminds me of when I was younger and we would have my female peers and they would be going through that time of the month and they would be hurting and having all these like different reactions and people would be like, it ain't that bad. It don't take all that. And I was one of those people. I was like, dang, she falling out until it hit me. And, now it's like I have a little bit more empathy for those folks, but it really is a real thing. But because you can't see it, we kind of have that issue. If we can't see it, then it must not be that thing, or it must not be something we should be loud about. But I think we should always be loud about the things that we're feeling that doesn't feel normal or right to us.
Well, I've seen young people do that when it comes to physical illness, right? I'm sick. Are you really sick? ain't really.
I think I like about the
I'm saying-
pandemic that it allowed people to be sick for
No,
real.
but
Because they be like, oh, you sick? Yeah, go home.
I'm
Before, it's like,
talking
come in, die.
years of school where years of folks with kids say, I would say, well, I ain't really sick. Are you playing? I'm sick, and we use it, right? And so, and anyway, so what your thoughts on what you heard from our class?
I mean, these three that we have here, first of all, I thank you all for showing up on a Sunday evening. I know y'all could be relaxing or doing whatever else you could be doing. What Jay-Z say, you could be anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here. I appreciate you.
Mhm.
One of the coldest things, I mean, first of all of them were spot on. There's two things I want to talk about. Number one, the privilege to deal with our emotions is something that this generation has that previous generations didn't have. And I feel like a lot of times that this generation resents this generation's ability to have that ability to be like, I'm sad, or that hurt my feelings.
Mhm.
And people can't process, well, you shouldn't be sad, right? And that was a powerful statement. The other thing that I saw in all of these statements and in a few of those is, and I talk about this all the time, as humans, we all have a need, three things. We need to be seen, we need to be heard, and we need to be valued. And when a youth or anyone turns to someone and says, this is how I feel, and it's no empathetic ear there, that they're blamed, that they shouldn't have it, or my story trumps your story, it steps on the idea that this person is even a valid person worthy of a conversation. Right? So if I come to you and say, you know what, I'm feeling depressed, and I don't say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, what's going on? Right? Instead, like, you don't have the right to be depressed. You're 16. You have your whole life in front of you. What are you tripping on? Just that breakup wasn't that serious. Let it go. You'll meet somebody in the future. It's not about you when they come to you. What they're coming to here is, am I going crazy?
Mhm.
Right?
Some
Do you
reassurance.
see me? Am I here?
Mhm.
Right? Am I a person of value? I think that in all of those statements, in all of those spaces, the thing that we need to be able to instill in our youth is that they are worthy of being seen, they are worthy of being heard, and their lives intrinsically have value. Think about when Black Lives Matter hit, right? Everybody, well, Blue Lives Matter. Well, White Lives Matter. Well, this life matter. Well, everybody. So now everybody is wanting to be seen. You understand what I'm saying? Like we had a whole thing where everybody was like, well, this life matters. It has value. We saw that. We hear the cries. We hear the screams. And so what I heard from a lot of this is, how do I show up, and how do I advocate for my voice to be heard?
So we all have the need to be seen, heard, or valued.
Yes.
Right. And I don't think we're going to disagree with that.
Yes.
And we turn to something to help with that being seen, being heard. You said someone. You notice I wrote something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wrote something, right?
Something.
Someone, something too. And I before I even go there, I want to ask you, how do you feel, the three of you feel, or is there a relationship between mental health and social media? And you're expounding on that. Jump into it and don't wait for me. Just go for it. Either Ariana, Walida, and Elda, talk. Oh. Who's first? Somebody got to go
I
first.
think. Oh, go ahead, Walida.
I think that social media has a really big impact on mental health, because on social media, like, you will see every example of what the world thinks you're supposed to be. And so, like, you're going to start thinking, oh, I should look like that. I should be like that. And so that's going to make you start feeling bad about yourself, because you can't become the things you see in pictures and videos. And that could bring a person down, especially because if Like some of these apps are okay for like 13, 12-year-olds to go on. And so like a person that young is going to be really impacted really, really young. So by the time they get older and by the time they're like 16, 18, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse because they're never going to be able to mount to this plastic.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ariana.
Adding on, so just like digging a little deeper, like in school, I was taking like a CSP class, right? And it's like a computer science class, and it was talking about like how social media is made. And like the whole point of social media is that it's like designed to be addicting. For example, if a teen girl is looking up dieting, it'll put you on a path to like anorexia and like eating disorders. Like it does not, it's meant, if you have a like political opinion, it is meant to make you more radical. It doesn't, it's designed to be like, it's designed to like, you want to like doom scrolling. It's like a term when you keep on scrolling to like you get a hit of like dopamine. Like it's designed to train you, and it's like intrinsically it's designed to make you like depressed and like reliant on it. Like especially like social media, it's like a bunch of highlight reels. So people don't post, typically people don't post like the bad times. They only post the good times. So if you're going and you're feeling sad and you're seeing like every single person's highlight that you follow, that these celebrities, it's like it's very like demotivating, and it's like it like there's also like just like links in general with like the whole suicide and like depression. Like there's statistics to show that like this current generation it's like a result of social media, because like I feel like you can see it through how we act, especially during COVID and stuff. Like social media became a lot of people's outlets, but then in turn, it kind of also became, in my opinion, like people's demise, because they stopped learning how to socialize and they just started living through like a screen. And it's so much easier to be mean or like be rude during a screen. So like it caused like cyberbullying and all that type of stuff.
Thank you. Ariana, your thoughts?
Building off of that, I think social media kind of like creates this one beauty standard. And if you don't meet that one beauty standard, you're not pretty. And if you're not pretty, you're practically worthless. Like back to that whole social media statistics and how it's meant to be addicting. I can speak from personal experience that my younger sister and her friends were all wearing like full faces of makeup in middle school. They were like 12, 13 years old, and their main priority was looking pretty for school. And she's still that way. Unfortunately, like I get it, like makeup is a way of self-expression, but I don't know. I've seen it change in the generations younger than I am. Like they really, really, really have been grown up completely on social media, and it's like really affected their self-image.
I'm gonna read something from the book. I just got this book. When I get a book, you know how I am, Ella. You know I get a book. Ella, you're gonna want the book. I know you. You're gonna read. You love reading, right? So I get it for all y'all if I want it. But this guy said soon after, and this is a 2017. This is like one thing. This book is written in 2023. Right. Okay. This is brand new. All right. 20. Well, yeah. Okay. Soon after teens got iPhones, they started getting more depressed. The heaviest users were also the most depressed, while those who spent more time in face-to-face activities, such as on sports teams and religious communities, were the healthiest. And there's a whole bunch of statements in here like that. If you put one of these in a child's hands without, especially, it's almost like it diminishes the desire to be around other people, right? Because you're into this thing, and that's what it is. And so he's saying the rates of, in fact, he says, he calls it the great rewiring of childhood is causing an epidemic of mental illness. And we've talked and he's made some, I'm going to get to these at the end of the hour, where he talks about the suggestions that we got to save these young people, because young people aren't playing, they're not doing it in groups. They're not, going back and forth with young people like they did before, because one thing parents are concerned about, safety concerns, and the substitute for that, here. And you and I have seen, young people get these phones as early as 5, 6, 7. And Lady E, or where's Lady E? She always makes a statement that the brain isn't, fully?
It's not fully
25,
developed. 21.
No, well, he says the mid-20s, right?
Yeah, 24, 25.
While seeking is not fully capable until the mid-20s. So
your frontal cortex.
Yeah, there you go. That's what he said.
If they haven't dealt with trauma, then it does.
Yeah, don't let the kid be on some type of drug.
All of that, right? And how do you battle with that? How do you? Because the one thing I have in our conversations with everybody in the class, they know it's an issue. How do you deal with something that's pulling you in there? I call it the bad matrix or the matrix pulling you in there. How do you deal with this? The phone saying, come to me, come to me. I can validate you. See, because you're looking for validation.
Well,
Right?
and that's
because the young person told me that's what we looking into
Well,
social
the-
media
the-
for validation.
So what we need to understand is and I know Doc, what you're trying to do, you're trying to get this controversy going, right?
No,
But
I'm trying to save some folks.
well, we're gonna save some folks. And what we have to do is we have to understand what is happening psychologically with our kids. It's a guy, you guys can look this up in your free time. It's a psychologist named Erik Erikson. And he has the
Erikson.
stages of development
Studied him in my second year.
from 0 to death almost, right? Each stage is trying to overcome an issue, right? From the ages of 12 to 18, you are experimenting and developing an identity, who you are and what you do, okay? Social media throws thousands of images at you to be like me. This is why they're called influencers. Sorry. This is why they're called influencers, right? They're trying to influence you to be like them so you'll be hooked on their product forever. The stage after 12 to 18 is 19 to 29, and your psychological thing is to establish intimacy and relationships, right? Now, when you look at identity and relationships is what your target brainwave is kind of dealing with from 12 to 29. And then you think about what you're searching on, or what your feed looks like, right? You start seeing that this thing is speaking to you. This is how you should be. This is where you should go. This is how you should dress. This is what you should wear. This is who you should date. It's nonstop. It's nonstop. So the question is, and the idea is, in order to deal with the pressures of that algorithm, you have to learn some tools to responsibly enjoy it, right? You have to be aware of how much screen time do you have? When are you typically on your phone the most? Are you doing it as soon as you wake up? Are you doing it before you go to bed? What are you programming your brain to think? What are you hardwiring your brain to think? Because your algorithm and your feed is rewarding you. The more you're on there, the more it's rewarding you to continue to look at this. Have you guys ever gotten to a point on IG or YouTube or something where it felt like every reel was just hitting? It was like all of them are funny. All of them are good. Like, I've gotten to the point where I feel like I'm sending all times of night. I'm just sending them. It's feeding me. It's rewarding me, and it feels good, right? But I know
I haven't.
You haven't.
You know why?
It's not your main.
Because I ain't on it.
But there are tools.
I ain't gotta worry about that. I ain't gotta worry about developing tools. I know your point.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't be alcoholic if you don't drink, right?
Yeah.
So my point is, that's all I'm saying.
Exactly. And so if the idea is either always or never, right? We have to get outside of I'm either always on it or I'm never on it, because you're not really conquering it. What you have to understand is you have to be aware of you, right? What are your needs in this thing? Again, I have this, and then I'm gonna let other people talk. I promise. I have this thing where we talk about mental hygiene, right? And I said this earlier. Just like with mental hygiene, you should bathe every day, right? And the letters of bathe stand for number one, the B. Be conscious of your breath and your breathing and how you show up. Like on a roller coaster, when we get anxious, we hold our breath, right? You have to take at least some time to take about 10 minutes to take some intentional deep breaths. center yourself, gather your thoughts, get yourself in space. The A in bathe is your actions. What am I doing? Right? What am I doing with myself, with my life? What's my purpose? And then the T, of course, we're going to go my thoughts. What am I thinking about? Right? What am I telling myself? My H in bathe is what am I holding on to? What am I honoring? Right? What is the thing that I'm holding on to about myself? What's my image or my identity? And lastly, the E, my emotions. How am I feeling? If you check in with those every day, right, you'll be less likely to be controlled by a algorithm that's telling you how to think. You have a choice, and to understand that you have a choice. And again, my people, and build yourself a community that's off of this thing. Like Dr. Marshall keeps talking about. If you got some friends, every Saturday we just gonna go to the marina and we gonna walk for, like, give yourself something to relate to in the real world that you can look forward to, it will help you kind of unplug a little.
Well, see, I believe you have to come up with mechanisms to deal with it.
100%.
And I want to add,
Mhm.
but to me, and it starts with, it can't give you what you're looking for. It's like you meet a guy, right?
Mhm.
And he's gonna be, he can't give you what you're looking for. This tool can't give you this validation,
Right.
this seeking. In fact, it's gonna throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing.
But
And that's where I want to start with young people. It can't give you what you're looking for. All right. The more you dip into it, the less you're going to get, which means you're going to have to come up with some way to regulate and help yourself. And sure, and they talked about that. In fact, I got your words from our last meeting that I'm gonna go to later. They're toolbox.
Yes.
You know, you got a toolbox, right?
Yes.
You're a toolbox. Some people don't need the toolbox as much because they ain't fooling with it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't got a box, nor nearly as many tools.
Well,
I think it's like driving.
Well, yeah,
I
what
think
I'm
it's like-
saying
I
is,
think it's
I'm
so
talking
many
about
things
this.
like-
I'm
it's
talking
like
about
driving.
this thing specifically, right? Because if you know that it's not, I mean, some people, yes. So let me go back to you. You heard a bunch of stuff, Elda and Juanita and Ariana. What do you think about what you heard from the therapeutic people here? I'm just your teacher. Who's gonna talk? Elda?
I'll go first.
All
Okay, I'll go first. I didn't want us to start talking at the same time. I think what he said was really real about Babe, because like people don't know how to handle their emotions, so it tends for them to like lash out or just really embarrass themselves or do the wrong thing and or harm somebody else because they don't know how to handle their own emotions. And like I feel like it's like Mrs. Sell says, like or no, like we all say with our red balloon. And like and if that's full, it's gonna just explode on everybody. And
Yep.
it's really gonna ruin yourself and the relationships that you built.
Similar to Walida,
Ariana, Elda?
acknowledging mental health and
Or-
mental illness is one, but knowing how to like maintain it or treat mental illness is another. And I think that it should be more common knowledge other than just like saying that somebody has depression or anxiety or whatever the case is.
I agree. I feel like a
Elda?
lot of it also is like, like FOMO, like fear of missing out. Like I feel like back in like maybe your day or like maybe like a little bit like my older brother's age, he's like 7 years older than me. It's like when he was trying to figure out like what was cool, like he couldn't really, like he would just like look to maybe like TV and stuff. But right now, like the 5-year-olds at my work or like the 6-year-olds at my work, like they know the songs I listen to. They know what to dress like. They dress like similar to me because like they know what older kids are doing. So it's like the whole like, oh, you're too fast, like you're growing up quick. Like they're all growing up like quicker, so they don't have the time. And like I know you're talking about Erickson, like stages of development, like they're not going, like they're going to role confusion so early. They're not even focusing on their like initiative versus guilt, whatever they're supposed to be going on. Like they're growing up quick, and I don't think that we're really realizing like the responsibility it takes. And I feel like a lot of it is like you compare your life. So I feel like a lot of people, whether they want to admit it or not, are like envious. So it's like, oh, like I'm anxious, I'm scared, like you're walking, like every time like sometimes like I walk through a hallway and I just see people like staring at their phone, like looking down. They don't want to look up, like they don't want to be like seen by themselves. Like they can't go to the mall by themselves. They have to like go on their phone, like put their head down. They're not like aware of their surroundings. I feel like, especially what really resonated with me is the whole like safety thing. Like people like give a child their phone, but people don't realize like the dangers of social media, like whether that be like just like the mental health part of it or how they're real life predators on the app, like preying on kids. Like I feel like a lot of, and I feel like it's like we are the first generation like really like going through this. So like we're like being studied like in real life, and especially like how COVID and social media played a part. It's like I feel like the studies coming out about this is like real life scary. Like in school, we talk about how like students, like teachers are telling us how students can't retain like an attention span and how it's so much harder to teach because people, we can't pay attention. Or I feel like the most insightful thing is like when I look at my screen time every week, I see how many like phone pickups I have, and like it tells you like when you start to pick up your phone, but it's like it's so addicting. And I feel like personally it's like really like scary. Like even though I'm like aware of it, it scares me. And I feel like that's why I put a lot of emphasis like on your toolbox and like on tools like Breathe and stuff. But I feel like it should be taken more seriously. Agreeing with all of that.
Thank you, honey. I went to teach a college class the last 2 years. I'm going to speak to a college class, right? This is not high school. It's my I'm at the University of Stanford visiting, get to talk. And I've been in this business a long time. And I've taught everything from 5th, 6th grade through college. The collegians don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So discussion is a whole different thing. You have to sort of manufacture, and it just, it just like, what, y'all don't talk, right? First of all, they got the computer in front of them. They got the phone. I mean, because you can have these things in the class.
Mhm.
So discussion is very, very difficult for them to have. And so it's affecting how, and the professor was like, he's trying to get them, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't say what they
Mm-hmm.
think. So I'm wondering, you as a therapist,
Yes. Yes.
and you want to know what's going on.
Yes.
The only way you can do is so do you have to devise number one, will they tell you, or is it like pulling teeth? And number two, do you do play therapy? I mean, what do you do? Because we got a couple kids that come, they just draw, right?
Yes.
Right? They draw.
Yes.
That's how I can tell. But it's so how do you deal when young people just won't tell you, come out and say?
Well, for me personally, in my when I have a young person who comes to see me in my practice, I've done an intake, so I'm aware of kind of what's going on. And then I provide the space for that young person to navigate as they see fit. It's
Okay.
less about, I
Okay.
need you to say what you need to say to me so we can fix it and get moving. Sometimes people just need to be, here we go again, seen,
Mhm.
heard,
Mhm.
understand that they are worthy of their time. I'll get young people that'll come in with all kind of issues, and their parents are outside like, well, let me come in real quick, and because I need to say it, I'm like, no, this is their time, right? And so it gives them a space. If we talk about everything that's going on their brain or not, I have a young lady that I see, I love her to life, and she comes in there and she tells me all about his.
Thank you for saying life, because I can't stand when people say I love them to death.
Oh,
I
yeah.
Oh,
But
thank
I love
you.
her to life. And she comes in there and she tells me about all the drama at school. And she go a mile a minute and she be like, and then this happened and that happened and that happened. But she doesn't have a space where her words are valuable. Right? So we just get to set up space. The other thing is that let's not negate what Elder said. Let's not negate the idea that we just came out of a pandemic that forced us into which forced us into social isolation, and we our communities were wounded, right? We started talking about restorative justice. We never restored. So these same kids who were raised in an era that there's this terrible thing happening, and if you go outside, you can die, and lost a bunch of people, were then just pushed back into school. It was like, now continue.
Let me ask LaShar the same question. When you see young people who,
Mhm.
clearly have, I mean, I can tell. Hey, I've been doing this in Mrs. Dell week and I can tell, right? And you said, well, what's going on? And well, what's your experience?
My experience is my time as a mental health advocate. It really, every person is different. Every situation is different. And it's really giving them that space and just being open to ask what do they want to talk about? Like what's going on? And I think one of the students shared about just this generation and the data that's available now, and you can see what the effect of social media from 2000, let's say 5
Till
to
now.
now.
Yes.
Because for me, I as a person who came up during, the Facebook hit or MySpace, we'll go back there. There were like they were like, girl, don't laugh. See you laughing at me. You have to that was a like a turn of the century, so to speak. And then for like Facebook, that was for college students. Facebook isn't what it is right now. Like you had to get permissions to have Facebook. But now it's taken on a life of its own. It's a money machine. You can make money. You can have a life. You can be whoever you want to be. You can find people just like you on this platform, and it's grown and it's expanded, and it's going to feed whatever you come to it with. So whether you had an eating disorder, whether you didn't think you were beautiful before, when you pick up the phone, it's going to mirror those same things. Those problems will still be there, whether you had a phone or not, because all these issues, these mental health issues, have been here before we had the smartphones. All it does is connect you with more people like you.
It's just gonna make it worse.
And it's not really telling you what to do. It's really giving you the option. It's really showing you option after option after option of people who are doing these things that you might perceive as the way to go. I think one of the students said, well, the kids, they dress like us, or they have these things, and it used to be TV, but now it's the phone. But I also don't want to put a lot of weight on these. One, they're kids. I do not want to put all this weight on these kids when there are parents who also are not always as educated, but also should take the liberty to learn about what it is their children are being exposed to.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
That's
why we're doing the show. We're
yes,
trying to sound the alarm. That's why people are writing books.
I totally
Yes.
think that it's a gray area, but I think that there are solutions. I think that there is help. I know that there's help, and I know that there are solutions, but I think we also should try to focus on, if we can heal the person, I don't think the phone would matter so much.
So there's a couple of things.
Because there's nothing you could tell me about drinking that will make me go out and do something crazy.
Well, okay. So there's a couple of ways to look at it. There's the so I always say what we do is I spent most of the early years of Alive and Free rehabilitating a whole bunch of bang, 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 shoot them up, brother, right? Okay. I want to get to the prevention point where I ain't got to do that in the first place, because some of them were just too far gone, and you can understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did the phones make them worse?
Huh?
Did the phones make them worse? They have phones.
No, they didn't have phones.
But they were already like that.
Oh, yo, these was gangbanger drug dealers. These was these had pages. This was a whole different thing. Whole different thing. But my point is, I had to bring them back, right? But my point is, I don't want them to get there in the first place. All right. So you're right. We're talking about, a problem, and we gotta come up with strategy and all that. But if kids, to me, kids don't matter to the world. They don't care nothing. Like Elder, you said it so well. They don't care about 5-year-old. This industry don't care about 5-year-old. No, they don't care about it, right? So, and what this guy is saying, what can, but this thing is over. This whole thing is across the planet, right? Okay, this is messing with people everywhere, right? And that's what he's saying, right? What can we do when the kids are like, I'm gonna ask you guys. So he makes a suggestion that parents should not give a child a smartphone before high school. Parents should delay children's entry into the round-the-clock internet access only by giving phones with limited apps before the 9th grade. What do you think about that, Elda and Ariana and Walida? Do not give them a smartphone before the age of 14.
I agree.
I don't think that would work. I mean, I see the thing is my mom in middle school, right? She tried to like take my phone and stuff, right? But genuinely it didn't work because like what's it called? Like technology is so like readable. Like you take my phone, you can go to the library, like what's it called? SFUSD gives you Chromebooks, you can go on YouTube over there, like it's protected, but there's ways to jailbreak it, go around it. Like technology is so available. And but I also do think that with the whole like state of the world, I do think that kids might need phones. I agree that it shouldn't be like a whole smartphone thing. Like I believe that it should be like maybe like a flip phone or something. That's what my parents did for my brothers. They gave them flip phones in middle school and stuff.
Right.
But I think that in this world, like your friends are gonna have phones, you're still gonna be exposed to the same things. I don't think there's necessarily a way to prevent your kid. Like I think sheltering them won't really do them any good because I feel like if anything, it'll push them away. And I feel like it's very easy for little kids to like resent their parents. I feel like if anything, you have to like instill like the tools in your kids like early. You have to be like as transparent as the kid will be able to understand and really to deal with that problem. Because it's like you take my phone away, okay, I'll go on my friend's phone. Me and my friends will share their phone. Me and my friends will go on their computers. So I feel like it's the same sort of thing. Like
Yeah, and that's the issue, right? I remember the same thing was, but you can't hear that music in my house. You can't do this in my house. It's gonna be in somebody else's house. I don't have control over their house, but I do have control over my house, right? And I'm fine with that, right? I taught my kids. Now I knew that, and now I would actually go for somebody else's house and do it there. So I, for one, like that. I actually agree with that. Just because everybody else gonna get it, I'm not gonna do for you. And then you might get it somewhere else, but you're not gonna get it from.
There has to be a standard or
From
something.
me. So, okay.
Voice.
I just want to know what you thought about you, Walida or Ariana. You got any comments on this? Is what an expert, one who has written books about this. No smartphone before high school, flip phone, whatever. What do you think about that?
I'll go next. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Elda said. It's no way that a kid, like a person that's not in high school, should have a phone, because it's no like at that point you're still in like middle school. That's still time to literally in junior high. That's a time to have fun and be a kid, like to the fullest. The last bit you have, be a kid, you know. And like, there's no way to really avoid it, of course, because the technology is everywhere now on anything, refrigerators, whatever. Like I've seen people be able to go on social media on the refrigerator. So it's like, it's no way now you can avoid it. So either way, even if we all voted like, oh yeah, it should happen, it's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah. I'm not putting it to a vote. I'm just saying what a parent should do, right? That's not what society's going to do. Ariana, what do you think about that?
I agree with both of them. In today's age, it's really unrealistic. Like speaking personally, I've had a phone since like 4th grade, but that was because I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger sisters, and my mom always had to keep in touch with me. But other than that, technology is everywhere. Not only is it everywhere, we use it for everything. Like me, I use it for tap to pay. Like if I don't have my wallet, I use my phone to pay for everything. Or if I'm running late, my mom needs me somewhere, I'm gonna look at my phone for bus times. It's like I need it for everything. And I think a similar situation when I was a kid, like it was just my mom needed to track me, or my mom needed to call me and get a hold of me if she didn't know where I was at. So
those kind of phones are okay. It's ones with that are the I mean, that's what this person is saying. No round the clock internet access. Okay, that's one of his suggestions.
Dr. Marsh, can I just say,
I want to get to suggestions 2, 3, and 4.
and we're going to get there. I just want to say, it's like trying to teach your kid not to do drugs by not buying them a lighter, right? That it doesn't, you don't teach them not to do drugs by removing the equipment to get the drug. You teach them about the harms. You teach them about the value that they have. You teach them that these things are not something that is going to make your life simpler. Right. You have to, it's not just the technology. These young folks just said it's technology is everywhere. So you have to teach them how to responsibly use the technology and how to have an adequate view of themselves. Hence, we're talking about this in Mental Health Awareness Month.
And
Like
if I
driving
teach
a
them
car.
that, I'm still not giving them the phone.
You're not, well, yeah, and that's
just
fine.
me. That's just me.
But you're
I
going
will
to
teach them.
you
but
have
I'm
to
not
give
gonna-
them the tools
Oh, I
to when
agree.
they get to the fork in the
You're
road,
right.
they can make the choice for themselves and be fully aware of both sides of the directions that they
I'm
go.
not disagreeing with that at all.
Oh, well,
And then I'm not gonna give them the phone after I teach them.
and then they're gonna go.
Saying.
They're gonna go to the
But that's-
library and
they go-
jailbreak
they
the
go lie, but it
Chromebook
ain't coming,
apparently.
but it's not coming from me.
But
That's
you're
all I'm
that,
saying.
You
Well,
said that
look,
you
I
would
gotta
give
keep
it to them no
I gotta come
earlier.
with- Huh?
So you're saying you wouldn't give it to them.
Well, I'm
at
looking at
the
this. He
suggested-
said, yeah, he said
Yeah.
14.
Yeah. So after 14, you'd be open.
Well, then
to
he
it.
goes to no social media before 16. What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that? No social
I feel like
media
the
before 16.
I feel like that's not the point. I feel like the point isn't like it isn't like social media and stuff is intrinsically bad. I feel like we have to like instill like the tools as like he was saying to like help the kids work with it. I feel like genuinely like I really believe that like strict parents and I don't know what people would deem as strict, but I feel like in the kids sense, like I could imagine if my parents said that, like my parents said, oh, I couldn't have Instagram. I was just sneaking Instagram. And I wasn't trained properly on how to use social media, like really like the tools, don't talk to strangers, don't be adding like random and like you don't know them, like like I wasn't fully trained until like later in life. I feel like the whole like, oh, it's not coming from me, but it's coming from somebody and you don't really know. I think that parents should be like giving them like a leash and like slowly working them up and teaching them at every step. Like I feel like the more open and honest like you are as a parent, the more your kids feel safe coming to you. If, for example, you say, oh, no social media, oh, I don't have a phone, I have social media, a random guy texting me, I'm not gonna come to you because you already told me no social media and now I'm stuck. Or, oh, I'm getting an eating disorder because everybody else, or now I'm crying because I don't look like her and everybody's saying she's pretty. I'm not gonna come to you because you told me no social media. I really think it's about the tools and the trust you have parent to kid and like how you work them up to that. I don't think because then I'm 14 and I have never had anything and boom, I'm already there. And now I'm 16, all my friends have had it. Now boom, I'm already there and I have no training. Like I feel like you really learn by experience, and the way you learn is by an open communication with your parent and the tools that they instill in you. But that's just my opinion.
You will have your chance when you get your kids. That's what I love about it. I love
agree
it.
with
Okay,
the
okay.
workup. I totally agree with the workup. And now my comment as far as how when I started, because it was at the beginning, it taught us, I was saying my maybe 85 to 98, no, I'm going 95 born, how to work up in social media, because at one point the hottest thing, it wasn't making videos go viral, it was what you could send in a picture, what you could send in a video. Like that would be the most detrimental thing for a kid if someone had a video of you doing something inappropriate, and because back then the phones wasn't sending long videos, but if you could get that video to circulate or to show people, was like terrible. But we didn't know that if you show someone a inappropriate image, that's a crime. I've had friends who have gone to jail because they looked in a kid's phone for a whole nother crime and saw that they had a picture of a gun, because that was kind of the thing. But we had to learn, like, hey, you can't be doing that. But now that we're at this stage, I was out at an event and this older person, me and my friends just singing, the older person just phone out. I said, just phone out, ready to record something, ready to show that they were there, something, wanting to establish some sense of FOMO in their lives for something they think might be a viral moment. Like it's so ingrained in us almost. It's just automatic. Like you see something crazy, I'm about to put my phone out and record it. So yeah, I totally agree with like the gradual, because it's taught me how to conduct myself online, but that also goes to the toolbox that you were saying. So there's nothing that really I could see on this phone that really is going to alter how I show up and what I really believe about my own self.
Here's a third suggestion: phone-free schools. What do you think about that?
I think that's good, because like if you're in school on your phone, you're gonna get distracted. Like, because like if they have the students have their phone right next to them on their desk or right in their pocket, they're gonna look at their phone. They're gonna be taking a test. They're gonna pull up their phone and look for the answers online. Like, it's no way you should have your phone on you in school. If they had it where, I mean, you have it in your locker, but like, because I feel like it's to the point where you need to call your parents while you're at school. That's different. But like having the students bring their phones into classrooms, no, that shouldn't be allowed.
Ariana and Elder, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I disagree. I don't think it would work out specifically for my school. Like, actually, this was a topic in my psychology class on Friday, and my teacher was like, "What if we made this a thing, made it a policy?" Like, apparently, other states are putting that into place where kids are not allowed to have their phones, not even in their possession, like in their lockers at all. And it just wouldn't work. Like, me personally, when my mom tries to call me out, the school just won't pick up. So she went on this whole rant about how she was able to do it in her day without having a phone, and everything was, all the communication in school was from parent to administration, but that just doesn't work because the school kind of, I don't know, it's kind of iffy. Like, some days you can reach them and some days you can't. Other days, like, they won't tell you that your kid is absent for like 3 periods. And some days they'll tell you that they're tardy for 5 minutes. So I guess it really depends on the school, but I'm personally against it.
Okay, Elder?
I feel like it really depends. I feel like it's like to an extent. Like I feel like there should always be a way that a parent can like reach a kid. But I do agree that I've had like some classes where to get marked present or like for attendance, you have to like put your phone up and stuff. But I generally think that like in my experience, like after COVID, education has been so much digitalized. Like we'll be pulling out our phones to take a picture of a slide. We'll be pulling out our phones to do a Kahoot. But then after we pull out our phones, now we're texting. Now we're doing something else. Now we're like people, like the amount of times my teacher just, oh, pull out your phone and do this, pull out your phone, pull out your phone, pull out your phone. Like teachers have started to use like phones as a tool, which I feel like now is a lot. It's like a tricky thing because most of the time when you pull out your phone or even when your phone's on your desk, you're more likely to like use it. I feel like if anything, phones should be in backpacks. And then if they're not in backpacks, there should be like a punishment for that. And then like when a teacher says to pull it out, pull it out. But I feel like it's more just like how you dictate it. But I don't think that it's realistic to like say, oh, no phones in all school. Because how are you going to contact your parents if an emergency happens? Like, what are you going to do? Like, I feel like that's a safety risk.
My mom used to say, use the school phone.
It's so fascinating. For 2,000 years, people. So
like,
now
"Use
you
the school
can't do it. So you can. It's just that, it's a challenge. It's a different challenge. So this is and the last one I won't even do because it talks about having young people have supervised play. Instead of on their phones, have them go outside and develop independence, and so on. So, Elder, you see this when I show you this book because I know you're interested in this stuff. So I don't think anybody disagree with having young people play with each other. I mean, I think we all agree with that. And a lot of them, they're in the house, just not out doing those things for safety reasons, so on and so forth. So we got a lot to summarize here. We have, and Lady E is certainly taking a bunch of notes. So how are we, this conversation here, I think we have sort of sounded the alarm, and mental health is real, right? We got to do something about it. It's being brought up. There's a lot in there. Let me ask you one thing. Is for you guys, therapy used to be like a bad word, right? Has the attitudes changed? I'm going to say substantially. I know it's changed somewhat toward counseling and therapy. Or can you even use the word therapy now? Let me ask you, Elda and Ariana and Walida, are those words scary still? Or, the counseling, do you think, are those like, sure, why not? Are young people accepting of that?
I feel like it's a 50-50 because a lot of people take therapy very serious because they have serious problems. And then the other front side of the 50, it's like some people turn, like, how we said that people use mental health as a joke. Like, it's almost like they go to therapy for the same thing. Some people actually have problems. Some people have problems that they think are really bad problems, and then they go to therapy. And then at the same time, also the way it's portrayed on movies and things like that, it gets taken as a joke as well. You see therapy in a show, the therapist is falling asleep while listening to you, or you're crying on a couch talking about how your cat is neglecting you, So the way that you see it on TV and the way people just make up problems that they think is really affecting their mental health and it's not, it's like, it really depends on the person.
Ariana, what do you think about that? How people feel?
I am sure about the 50-50. Like, my school widely advertises it. Like, if you have a problem, go talk to a counselor. Like, we'll get you out of class. And there's some kids that'll go to like actually talk to the problems, and they're happy to have somebody to talk to and that'll listen to them. And there are the other students that show up to get out of class for like a period or two. So it really depends. Like it's a good thing that now we do have those resources, because I know like back in my mom's day that wasn't a thing. Like nobody really cared to check up on their students mentally. But yeah.
Elda?
I like in my school, and I've in a lot of SFUSD schools, they've been having like wellness and therapy. And just to touch on Walita's point, I agree, but I also like respectfully disagree, because I feel like the whole point is like, for example, like the problems that like our parents probably had are a lot worse than ours. It doesn't mean so if they sat up here and like said, oh, our problems are fake, our problems aren't real problems, our problems aren't to be upset about, then it's like, what's the point? Like maybe like no matter what, people are gonna have it worse than you, or people are gonna have it better than you. Like celebrities killing themselves even though they have so much more money, and maybe we want their money. That doesn't touch on their mental health. I feel like empathy is truly like the biggest thing. Like if I don't think your problem is a big problem, you may not think my problem is a big problem, but either way, it's affecting us both deeply. And I feel like it should be valued, and we should like listen and hear and like respectfully, like even if I don't think your cat is a big deal, it might be a big deal to you, and that's okay. And we should talk about that, and I hope you're okay. And I feel like it's coming from the point of respect and looking outside of yourself, which is really, really difficult, because obviously if my problem is money and your problem is a boy not liking you, maybe my problem is more important than yours or more crucial than yours, but I can still respect that a boy not liking you is hard for you, and I want to come for you, and I want to make sure you're happy and you have a good day too. I feel like we should all just like respect each other's thing, but I agree with everything that they all said.
One thing we do know, if you don't deal with it, that balloon, it ain't gonna go away, right? And people have their ways of dealing with it. Self-medicate, like we call them risk factors. Smoke, drink, so on and so forth, to do risky behaviors. It's got to be dealt with. It's got to be dealt with. And that's what we're trying to help people with, And so, yeah. Lady E, you have been listening to all of this, and you are a licensed person yourself. And so you must have many, many thoughts about Dr. Marsha poking the bear here and getting it started. So what do you think about all of this?
Well, I have a few things to say. How much time do I have?
You go ahead. Go. You got all the time. You Lady E.
Oh, okay. Hold on just a second while I finish up. But I want to thank all of you, my young people, for your voices, for your candid and authentic voices. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your thoughts, and being open to hear, because it's important. You are what, 17? And you don't want to stop there. You want to make it beyond this point with a good mind and a brain that's functional and not dependent on what the little box has to say. Because the little boxes, some of that stuff is simply funny and nothing more. So, my words for you this evening are for young people to recognize their need, to address their mental health is truly an anomaly. Now they have the privilege those before them didn't have, to openly and unapologetically express their varied emotional states. Whatever it may be, they are open to say their mental health is being challenged in some way, be it remnants of COVID and being isolated, to being inundated by messages on social media. It's time to listen and truly hear what our kids are being faced with every day. The new companions they hold so dear are the smartphones and the silent damage it brings. It's time to listen. It's time to hear. It's time to draw the line and set some boundaries, all to help our young people be the best they can be, so they can be mentally and emotionally, physically alive and free. This is Lady Estelle asking you to consider this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Both of you. Final thoughts?
you.
Got 30 seconds. That's it.
Oh.
I will say everybody doesn't need therapy, but everybody needs somebody to talk to.
All right. LaShara?
I echo that. You know, if you have someone or you are feeling like you're not yourself or you're having these different thoughts, I just encourage you to one, I want to say sorry if you feel like you don't have someone, or if you've expressed to someone and you didn't get the response you were looking for or that you needed. But there are groups like what Dr. Marshall is doing that are here to support you. There's mental health advocates that are available more frequently than they were before, that are supposed to be there to help and guide you. So hopefully you'll find someone, you know, follow those pages that bring you love and light, that make you happy, that follow those creative interests. And I wish everyone the best as we navigate this.
Juanita, Elder, Ariana, you're wonderful. You know, I love you. I love you. I can't wait to see you Tuesday. You are so good. Oh, the girls are wonderful. Thank you, everybody. All right, we'll do this again. We'll do this again. This is something that's ongoing, and some people do it every day because we want you to stay what? Alive and free, alive and mentally free. Your mental health is important. All right. See y'all.